Donald Trump has been blasted over the past couple of days by police officers, even the police unions, Republican senators, and some Congress people, and of course Democrats over the fact that he pardoned all of the January 6th rioters, including those who tried to end our system of government and beat/murder police officers. But the most stunning rebukes come now from some of those very people, those who were rioting on January 6th and want nothing of Donald Trump's attempt to rewrite history. And so some of these insurrectionists are telling him exactly what they think about him. And we want to start with Jason Riddle. He's a 36-year-old New Hampshire man who, during the sacking of the Capitol and the insurrection, poured himself a glass of wine while looking eerily like Charlie Day. But anyway, after the pardoning, you don't think so? After the pardoning, he said, "I am guilty of the crimes I have committed and accept the consequences. It is thanks to those consequences I now have a happy and fruitful existence. I don't need to obsess over a narcissistic bully to feel better about myself. Trump can shove his pardon up his," you can probably finish the sentence. "If I was one of the people who crossed the line into assaulting police officers that day, I'd probably believe I can get away with anything I want now." So he pleaded guilty, which a number of them did. Now they're saying they didn't do anything wrong or whatever. But I love that there were a couple that admitted that no, it was unacceptable. And it's not just him. You also have Pamela Hemphill, aka the MAGA Granny, who you can see in this photo. She said accepting the pardon would be an insult to the Capitol police officers, to the rule of law, to our nation. The January 6th criminals are trying to rewrite history by saying that it was not a riot. It wasn't an insurrection. I don't want to be a part of their trying to rewrite what happened that day. And she, as you can probably guess there, is no longer a massive fan of Donald Trump. She says, "I got my critical thinking back and started doing my own research, which I'm guilty of not doing back then because they gaslight you so much. It's really weird when you come out of a cult. It's like you look back and you go, what was I thinking?" It is very weird to come out of a cult. It's also very difficult to come out of a cult. There's not a lot of them. We don't have 30 insurrectionists that we can read you quotes right now. Maybe there are only the 2 or a handful more, but I love that at least some people learned something from that experience. Others took dark lessons out of it about how to propagandize, how to rewrite history and reframe things and all of that. And that's not useful for our society. But I love there are some people who aren't buying these pardons. Brett, what are your thoughts?
January 6th was bad. It was a horrible thing. It was an un-American thing. Watching all those weirdos climb the Capitol walls like cockroaches because they were trying to find that clob of dung and keep him in the White House. Like that is what they were. They, that was a horrible thing. Trump had a fake elector scheme where he was going to essentially put like Groucho Marx glasses on and with the nose and the fake mustache on people and have them pretend to be the electors so he could illegally become president again. These are horrible, horrible things. And so many people in the media, in the right wing, are trying to cleanse that. Pretend it wasn't a bad thing and pretend it was a good thing. And these folks who are giving their retrospectives on what it was like and how it feels after they were held responsible for what they did, those things that you just read, that's what you want your children to end up like. Someone who even if they do something wrong, they realize it was wrong.
That's a great point.
As opposed to horrible people who want you to believe that it was right and then pretend they want you to be complicit in this fantasy world where the bad thing was the good thing. I saw like, there's a guy with the balloons on the wall and he just stands there and it spells out a message. There's like a guy who does that on the internet. And he's like, manipulation is what happens when someone is focused on your reaction to what they did versus whether what they did was right or wrong. And that's what the right wing is doing. They're manipulating everybody into thinking that we're the weirdos for reacting the way we did to January 6th.
Yeah.
We're the weirdos for saying like, yo, you shouldn't try to violently overthrow the government, especially when it's all based on a provable lie.
Yeah.
And they're like, you guys are going crazy. Don't focus on the fact that Elon Musk did a Nazi salute. Focus on like the fact that you guys are calling everyone a Nazi. I'm sorry that I called the sky blue and the grass green.
Yeah.
Don't gaslight me into thinking it's weird that I always seem to be calling the sky blue and I always seem to be calling the grass green. Isn't that weird? The people who thought the grass was red are like, I was wrong about that. And we should listen to them.
I agree. And I like that, the comparison of those two things. I think that really drives home the point. Yeah. Again, like with so much else, I'm not going to go on a whole long thing because I just did, but yeah, January 6th was one of the darkest moments in our history. If you study our history, you know that there are a lot of other really dark moments, definitely, but certainly in the past couple of decades, that's one of the darkest ones, and that is going to remain true regardless of the pardons, regardless of the new look into that they're going to investigate the investigators. I don't care. I don't care about literally any of that. This was an unforgivable thing that Donald Trump did to us, did to our country, and that is going to remain true. And I know a lot of people are thinking, well, but he won again. The victors control the history. Yes, he won the election, and he will be president for presumably 4 years or whenever his arteries give way, whichever happens first. So that is true, and it is a dark moment. A lot of people say, well, like, oh God, it was so sick that they made him president in the first place, but then they got rid of him and we went back to normal. Oh my God, but then it's even darker because we got him elected again. Yeah, but like, continue that analogy, okay? They gave him a chance in 2016 and then they thought, oh, this is gross, actually, I don't want this, let's get rid of him. And then they tried Biden, and unfortunately it didn't happen fast enough, blah, 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 all that stuff. And oh God, they went back, and this time he even got slightly more votes, and that is really dark. But also, when they turn against the Republicans because they once again reject this horrible failure of a political movement, that won't just be one time it's been killed by the electorate, it'll be 2 times that the electorate will have killed it. And it's not guaranteed, history is inevitable, but in a couple of years, we have a chance to finally put it and him to bed. And it's hard to see that. I understand that, to focus on that, to look that far ahead when we're in this horrendous moment where every day 1,000 unacceptable things happen. But we have that opportunity and it's coming up not that long from now. But actually, that should be a 7. So we're even closer. Thanks for watching our video. Did you know that you can support our show by becoming a subscriber? Just click the subscribe button and also ring the bell so that you get notifications when we're live or when we post new content.